Very good evening to all of you and a very warm welcome to another NHRDN webinar on a very different yet interesting topic, that is powering through crisis, wherein our speaker will share with you the practical tools and techniques to do the same. I am Sheetal Bansode, the chapter coordinator for National HRD Network Pune chapter and your moderator for today's webinar. Like most of all other webinars, this one too is divided into two parts, learning session followed by a Q&A. But my dear friends, you do not have to wait for the Q&A session to begin to share your questions or thoughts with us. You can do that anytime during the webinar using the question panel on the right-hand side of the GoToWebinar here. Now, I would like to request the Vice President for Pune chapter, Mr. Aman Rajaballi, to welcome our guests and take the session forward.
Thank you so much, Sheetal. Thank you. Welcome all the participants. Swagat hai, namaskar, adab, sat shri akal, kem cho. Sheetal, it's a good thing that you introduce your name. नहीं तो पीछे से जो आवाज आती है ना, ऐसा लगता है बिग बॉस चाहते हैं कि आप अपने सवालात पूछें. So next time you never know. She might turn around and say that. So thank you so much, Sheetal. Welcome, Latha and Vineeta, for this webinar. Thank you for taking out time and your willingness to share your knowledge and the good work that you've done in all these years. I am seeing the list of participants. There are, more than 85 people already joining in, and people are still there in the waiting room. So thank you so much for taking out time and joining us today. And I'm sure that this is going to be a great learning experience from whatever Latha is going to share with us. I need not share much about the National HRD network. It's all available, and Sheetal is sharing the screen with you. We are available on all social media sites. You can Google us, you can get in touch with us. You need any information, please feel free to do so. One of the new initiatives that we have recently launched is Mentor a New Member. If you are interested in becoming a new member, you may please get in touch with us, take up membership, and we will assign you a mentor of your choice who will guide you over the next 3 months in whatever field that you are interested in. So this is one of the first initiatives that Pune has taken across India. Yeah. So apart from various activities that we do, this is one of the things and latest. So hence I thought I will share this with you. The details are available on, again, all our social media sites. Not taking much of your time, I welcome all of you again, and Latha and Vineeta, thank you so much. And there you go. I will put off my video and my audio, and Latha and Vineeta are all yours. Over to you.
Thank you, Aman. And the number just now, we are close to the century as the clock is ticking, Latha. I have such an honor and privilege here to introduce you and to welcome you for this program. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have. Let me first begin my informal introduction for Latha. That for when we were preparing for this session, I had the opportunity to interact with Latha, and what has really touched me was her ease and the humility and such enthusiasm all along. So we have our please welcome Latha here, who has she's the founder of OD Mantra. She runs a boutique coaching and OD consulting firm. She brings a unique combination of business and people knowledge, and with all that, she also has passion for yoga, and she serves as the director of the Ananda Yoga School of India, which has a chain in Europe and America. She has been a whole-time director and she was in top management positions. She is an ICF accredited coach, and she is a Reflector Big 5 master practitioner. I was just telling her that if I were to read all her bio, it will take like 15 minutes of time. So with all that, I am welcoming Latha for this session. Just a few words for how the session is going to go. She's going to share her presentation, and while you are listening, we have a window for asking questions. So you don't have to wait for presentation to get over. You can start writing your questions in the window, and once she's done with her presentations, then we'll start taking the questions. So all the best, Latha. I hope you and the audience and everyone enjoy this session.
Thank you so much, Vineeta. It is indeed an honor to be in a forum like this with like-minded HR professionals, and really the space that I love to share. So I'm very grateful to NHRD Network and the Pune chapter, and Aman, Sheetal, and Vineeta, who so tirelessly worked together to curate and put this session together. So a hearty welcome to all of you from my side. And today is going to be an interesting session. We've all been going through quite a pandemic, and I don't want to, get too much into that doom scrolling kind of a mode, but be more about, discovering our own powers and centering ourselves and see as HR professionals thrown into the situation, what is the best that we can offer? What is the best version of ourselves that we can present to the business? So before we jump into that session, I would like to, I know you've had a hard day. It's been probably multiple video calls, telephone calls, juggling all the household chores, and you've had your days filled. So just let's take a moment to just center ourselves and be fully present here, open and aware to see what we have coming up today. So for this, I invite you to sit upright, away from the back of your chair. Just lengthen your spine a little bit so that you feel tall. Relax your shoulders away from the ears. And you can gently place your palms facing upwards at the junction of thigh and abdomen. Make sure your feet are relaxed on the floor. And take a few deep, easy breaths. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do that. Inhale. Let the belly rise as you inhale. And let it fall as you exhale. And breathe at your own pace 5 more times. Very relaxed breath. Inhaling energy, exhaling all the tensions. And continuing to keep your eyes closed, just turn the searchlights of your mind inward. What are you feeling? Just let all the thoughts drop away and create that calm space in your mind. Letting go of the past and what awaits you after this session. And just being in the now, totally relaxed. If your mind wanders, just bring it back to the breath. A few more breaths here, just 30 more seconds. And slowly let go of the practice and softly open your eyes, being fully present here, all set and joyful. So welcome back with that. It's a nice little routine to practice even for your regular huddles and meetings at work, allowing people that time, because earlier we were commuting and that commute was that bridge between work and home. Now we are just like, you're in my living room, I'm probably in yours. And there's all those boundaries have collapsed. So little rituals that can just help people disconnect from what they were doing to come into a new space, just to be alert, aware, and attentive is a great practice. See what works for you. It can be a simple thing. Sometimes the others on the team might say, what quaint stuff is he doing or she doing? But hey, over a period of time, when you make friends with rituals like this, you start to see the benefits. So, jumping into our topic, powering through crisis, practical tools for HR professionals. I think this is a space that has been one of a lot of emotions, yeah. And we would like to now go into a poll and see, what are you experiencing the most? Yeah, so there's a poll there, and just quickly type into the poll, what are you experiencing as an emotion? It could be any of these or something outside of that. Just take a moment to plug into your emotions as you come to the close of your workday today, or what you've been experiencing over a period of time. Sheetal, how's the poll looking like for us?
Latha ma'am, if you could please stop sharing your screen, then you will see the poll on your
Yeah,
screen, ma'am.
I have stopped the screen sharing. For some reason, I don't.
Latha, maybe you could minimize it.
Yeah.
Or maybe Vineeta, if you could read it out to her.
Yeah, for some reason, I am not able to see this. Yeah. Maybe Vineeta, you can just read in the interest of time, if you can see it.
Vineeta?
Maybe Aman, you could do that.
Yeah, okay, I will do it. I will do
Yeah.
it. Fear is 17%.
Okay.
Overwhelmed is 13%, 1-3. Confusion is 26%. 38% is hope, umid. And none of these is 6%.
All right. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Aman. So that's an interesting take. Yeah. Typically, like in the West, where I've been attending a lot of talks, the negative emotions have taken over people more than the positive ones. but hope is a very positive one. And it's really heartening to see the resilience that we have in India, and particularly among the HR fraternity who are in the throes of this whole crisis. And them experiencing hope is a great positive message. So I think that kind of takes care of half the work that I had to do today. And on that optimistic note, let's just take a moment to see what does a typical work day look like for us. And so, as I was gathering material for the session today, I happened to ask a bunch of my classmates who are all HR guys who finished business school like 26 years ago. So there's a lot of wisdom in that room. And here are some of the things that they said. They said some of the biggest things that occupy a big part of our HR day is not knowing one day from what's happening from one day to the next. So there is a lot of ambiguity. There's a lot of uncertainty. We are constantly being asked to, redeploy people all over the place from one team to the other. There is a lot of RIF, reduction in force, as the term goes, where you're having to let go of long-time people because of the whole business situation and shrinking of business. There's a lot of uncertainty amongst the leaders, and sometimes even shyness amongst them to address and come out and talk to people. So they kind of push HR in front and say, you guys do the talking, it's your job to keep people engaged. Not all of them are doing, but a lot of leaders, they kind of feel cornered because they've always had the answers, and here is a situation where you don't have all the answers. So there is a lot of that going on. And then there is this whole piece around not being able to see people. So, as a HR person, typically in a normal business situation, you would have just walked the floor, caught up with so many people, had a chit chat over chai, in the elevator, at the water cooler, at lunchtime, or just walking the floor. And now you don't have a chance to do that anymore. And if all that was not enough, very sensitive topics in the HR life cycle of employees, like bonuses are getting deferred or they're getting cut altogether, salaries are getting cut, reduced, team sizes are changing constantly, appraisals are going through a whole lot of change, and people tend to take solace in these systems to kind of sometimes pass on the bad news, and HR is buffering for what is happening there. So it's a time of great uncertainty, and we all know that this is what we are going through. But I think one thought to just hold on to is the fact that we are not alone. Everywhere people are experiencing this. There are very few businesses where the situation is completely different, but at least a majority of them are going through what you're going through from day to day. And I think that in itself is a little bit of a comforter, that I'm not alone as a fraternity. Everyone's experiencing this. Now, if you look at the entire life cycle of events, you know this better than me, whether it is hiring, joining, induction, the whole repurposing. Yes, yes, sir.
Latha, sorry. The poll screen is still on and we can't see your presentation. So if you can start your
Does that go away?
PPT, the poll will go away.
Sorry. Does it show now?
No.
Okay.
And now we can see you. The poll. Yes, there. Yes.
Now you see my
Thank
screen?
you.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, so the whole employee life cycle of events have undergone overnight shift from doing things face to face, where we took so much for granted, to everything being offline. So people are being hired offline. Things like performance reviews are happening over the phone. Hiring is happening over the phone. Exits, and there's a lot of exits happening for business reasons right now. I think otherwise employees are staying where they are. But all of this has shifted a lot, and we probably never got the time to repurpose these processes to work in an offline mode. And that has its own subsequent challenge, like a new employee joining a company but not knowing anybody in the company is a very difficult situation to be in. And I think that's what is being asked of us, that how can you be agile with not much of support? Because you know what, there is no playbook that laid out the rules for the situation. So we're pretty much swimming in a space where no one has been through this before, no one has the answers, but here we are. And it's really brave of you guys to hang in there and make a difference day by day. So that's really the situation that we are facing, so to say. And I was looking at, okay, this is how we are experiencing it. What could be a good metaphor to help us remember how to navigate this space? And I came across this metaphor from flying protocols. And this is what aviation pilots, as they start to learn flying planes, are taught. And this is their protocol during a time of crisis. So it is called the ANC protocol, which is aviate, navigate, communicate. So suppose you're on a plane and let's say there is more than a turbulent weather. Yeah, turbulent weather is of course quite choppy. But more than that, let's say there is a small technical snag or a big one, the pilot has to still keep the plane running. And at the same time, he can gather his crew to help him navigate through that space. And yet he has to be sure, or she has to be sure, that you don't bang into a mountain just because you're feeling nervous about that technical snag probably taking the security and safety of the whole flight away. So there is a moment where you have to fly the plane and yet you have to keep your eyes in front. Now we're in that situation where, here is the plane, here is the company, here is the business situation, and it is going somewhere, but we don't know where it is going. We don't know how long this is going to last. There is a health crisis, there's a livelihood crisis. So lives, livelihood, everything in a crisis. And there is this personal and professional that people are going through. So you have to continue to navigate so that you don't have a calamity just out of anxiety and nervousness and the wrong set of emotions taking over. And then the third most important piece in that is communicate. So how do you continue to communicate in this crisis is very important. So that pilot in crisis has to communicate with different people. He or she has to talk to the air traffic control. They have to talk to the crew. They have to probably inform the airline if it's a bigger danger, the company that he or she represents. And they have to communicate with the passengers on board, which is a very sensitive issue because their life is potentially at risk. And it is exactly that situation that as HR we are facing right now. You have to keep the stakeholders informed, you have to keep your own function informed, and you have to communicate with the employees. But sometimes we can feel so overwhelmed. Thankfully, not many of us are feeling that today, but there are days when we feel very overwhelmed. And yet we have to have that brave face and continue to communicate and power through this crisis. So ANC is a good protocol to remember in times of crisis. Now, if we start looking at how our mind behaves, and it's not just our minds, it's the minds of everybody else around us. So psychological research shows that the mind is like a Velcro when it comes to negative experiences. So when something wrong happens, we tend to it sticks to the mind, just like your shoe Velcro will stick very nicely once you put the buckle in there. Then you have to pull it out or anything else, your bag strap, whatever. So the Velcro has a very sticky quality. And similarly, negative emotions, negative experiences tend to have a greater recall and impact on the mind. And the positive experiences are like Teflon. So those of you who are cooking these days know this, that when you use that non-stick pan, nothing on it sticks. Even if you put a little less oil, oh, masala fry ho jata hai, it doesn't stick to the bottom. Yeah. So it's similarly, all the positive things, whether it is, in the midst of this, you may have announced a pay rise for somebody, or you may have given them a bonus, or you may have given them a learning pass, which is really sought after. But that memory was going to be very short. And the negative experiences are more likely to take over their emotions. So this is a good perspective to hold in mind that, why are people showing so much anxiety? Why are they so fearful? Why are they so angry? Why are they so frustrated? Is because this is what is playing in their minds. If you look at it from a generic psychology perspective, there are a lot of exceptions to this. There are people who are wired to stay positive all the time, and those are some exceptions. But by and large, this is how majority of the people behave. Now, that's inflammation in the mind. It doesn't show outside all the time. But here's a little visual of how the emotions affect the body physically. And you can see how in this picture you see different emotions taking over different parts of the body. And it's going on, like stress is working on your brain, but you probably don't realize it so much unless when it manifests as, let's say, a headache, or there is a lot of stress going on and that's affecting your heart. And you sometimes feel it like a palpitation, a rapid heartbeat, or when it is chronic, you might experience it as hypertension or even develop cardiac conditions. But all of these negative emotions have something to do at a physical and at a mental level. And therefore, the core for us is to take care of our own wellness as well as the wellness of people around us. This is a very important thing to pay attention to. It seems like a simple thing because we don't see it every day, but this is what people experience. So then the question is, okay, so all of this is going on, and it's almost like an emotional contagion. So what's an emotional contagion? Let's say you had a fight with your wife in the morning. Yeah, you turn up into the team meeting, you're still carrying that simmering, and you tend to spill it into the team. And then a few of the team members get affected. They go into their teams and they have the same thing. And then it also spills to their children and their homes. So you just set in motion a whole contagious negative emotion. And I say you, I don't mean you, it could be anybody. But these are things that happen inadvertently, and there is a propensity of these things to happen more in these times. So what are some things that you can do to shift the energy? And that is an important role that we as HR play. That is a power that we have to be able to switch on those nice little things we can do to shift the mood in the room, or in the company for that matter, or in the business. So humor is a great one. We underestimate that, but humor can just make
Latha, 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 we can't hear you, Latha. Uh, can you hear me?
and
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
uh, so at that point, the boss on the Zoom call answers, "Teen सीटी हुए मैंने सुने." Yeah. So what happened there is a very classic situation. Yeah, the bosses are in the house and they're paying attention to everything that's going on in your life. But on a lighter note, I found that quite an interesting replica of how our lives are. So humor is always a great way of shifting the energy when people are feeling stressed. Empathy is another one. So asking around to people, what's happening in your life? How are you is a very standard question, and we don't tend to respond to it anymore because we know that people don't care for the answer sometimes. So shift and have some interesting questions in your bank, which you can use to really gauge what people are feeling. It's important to set some boundaries, and it's important that sometimes somebody's fuse is blowing too often, and it is having an impact on everyone else. We have a role there to jump in and play a control mechanism there. Sensitize that person, understand why they are behaving the way they are, and letting them know the impact that that behavior is having on others. So little ways, you all experts on this, but it's important to have that in mind, that when you see things going haywire, you have a role to play in shifting. So then I was looking at, okay, so what are some tools that we can have handy? And these are a couple of ones which I got from my spiritual teacher, Paramahansa Yogananda. The first one, he says, is a worry fast. So what's a worry fast? Yeah, so you have this constant, when you're under stress, you have this constant train of worries running in your mind. And what helps is to have this conversation with your own brain to say that, okay, I know that things are not going right at this moment, but I'm not going to worry about it now. I'll worry about it, let's say, at 7 o'clock. I'm just quoting a time. So you say that there's that little window when I'm going to worry about all the problems. Right now, I need to focus. So the mind kind of gets the message that he or she has acknowledged the emotion, has a note of it, and has set that window. Now, psychologically, it is proven that when you cue the mind to say that you need to get out of this frame now and come in later, the mind can actually do that. So that's something that you can tune into and see that the worry fast is a tool that you could use to create windows of times when you need to hear. I'll just take a moment here. I hope all of you can hear me. Yeah. I hear somebody saying they can't. I hope that's not the case for everyone. Okay. Now, the other thing to remember is that, we all carry a microphone inside of us. And that microphone is our being. When it is in a state of mental chaos, then it cannot function well. So you need to see what is your anxiety level, what is your rate of frustration, how are you turning up, how are you showing up, and see that what are some calming rhythms that you can set in place to repair your own microphone so that you send out good messages in the right tone and people are able to hear and receive it in a happy way, in an uplifted way, in an open way, and at the same time you are also able to receive the messages well. So when we are nervous, we don't see as much what's happening around us. For the mind to be alert and aware, we need to be able to be calm ourselves. So much as it is difficult, like that pilot who is aviating, navigating, and communicating, you need to be in that space where you make yourself fully available and you're able to broadcast and receive things well. So this is a good question to keep in your mind as a tool, that does my microphone need a repair, or do I need to do something right now to just calm and center myself? And it could be just a 2-minute practice, and we'll come to that in a little while. So with that, I would like to jump into some practices. So part of my work has been in the field of yoga. It was a side hustle for many years, and nearly 2 decades I've been a yoga practitioner and a meditator. And till it came to a point where I said, I want to integrate that into work. And so a lot of work I do is around wellness and the human side of leadership. So I'm going to take you through a quick sample. Yeah, we're very short on time because we want to keep more time for interaction. But a set of things that you can do. The first of them is going to be skull tapping. So what you need to do for this is nothing much. Just make a fist and start rapping your skull, yeah, with the knuckles. And this is the prefrontal cortex, the executive center of the brain. So start here. That's what we get paid for. And then go all the way back. This is an exercise over 100 years old and is a very good one for memory. It's a memory exercise, and what it does is awakens all the brain cells. So tap your skull, yeah, and then release your hand. And just close your eyes for a moment and see how you feel. It's just like you gave those brain cells a burst of energy. Now open your eyes. The next one we're going to do is a scalp massage. So for the scalp massage, I'm going to demonstrate first and then you follow me. So I take my fingers and I just move the skin. So it's not moving the fingers, I'm moving the skin, okay? Just like the skull tapping, you go all over front to back and back to front. Let's do this. Get your fingers up and just move the scalp. You can close your eyes. Just move the scalp front and back and going all the way back. And then coming forward from behind. Using your fingers to move the skin on the head. Okay, and you can release. And just close your eyes for a brief moment there. And see if you already feel more alert and awake. You should be feeling that way, because the brain's got a relaxation response triggered by just doing these two things. The other thing you can do during your day is a few stretches. So opening your eyes, we're going to guide you through a few stretches. One is, so we saw that diagram. Most of the stress is in the head, it's in the neck, it's in the heart, And then, of course, we have it in the digestive system and the lungs and all of that. So we're going to do a few short practices which can help you feel more energized and charged. The first one, just put your left hand, hold it on the chair, and lift the right hand and just stretch yourself. Yeah? Make sure your spine is straight. And take a deep breath there, stretching, stretching, stretching from your hip all the way to the fingertips. Come back. Repeat on the other side. You can smile. Do this 2 more times. Come back. And back. So what you've in effect done is you've created some space in your ribcage, you've lengthened your spine, and you can breathe better. Now, the other important thing is breath itself. Now, breath has a big connection with the body and the mind. And therefore, using your breath, you can control your mind. And what better way of illustrating this? When you feel sad, what do? You take an exhalation and say, and when you feel happy, it's an inhalation. And your eyes light up and the whole lifting gesture. This is a natural thing. We learn it and see it most in our kids, but this is how we all practice it as well. So breath is connected to the energy inside the body and how the mind feels. So let's do a simple pranayama. Yeah, we did one breathing exercise where the abdomen was going in and out. Now let's do a simple pranayama, which will help you feel more relaxed. This is also a great one for insomnia. It completely relaxes the brain. It can make you feel very calm. It can make you, it can soothe your brain. So there are huge benefits. Now this pranayama is called Brahmari. So I'm just doing little tasters here, just to give you an idea of how powerful these ancient teachings from India that the West is lapping up, we should not miss out on, and how we can do little rhythms to shift the energy inside of us. So for pranayama, I'm going to urge you to sit upright away from the back of your chair. Sit nice and tall, shoulders relaxed. The mind is still. You can just focus on yourself. Feel that the body is also relaxed. And I'm going to demonstrate this for you. So the pranayama Brahmari, it's called the bumblebee or the humming bee pranayama in English. And the sound you make is that of a bumblebee. We've all grown up with this as we played outside in the playgrounds. So you take a nice, and the inhalations and exhalations are equal. So you inhale, and then you close your mouth and you make this humming sound. So that is the sound part of it. Now it's good to close your lips and keep the teeth a little bit apart for a deeper vibration. Now what we will add to it is we'll close the flaps of the ear with the thumb and just relax the rest of the fingers on the forehead, or you can just close it. Yeah. So now and then I inhale and I make the sound. So now I invite you all to do this with me. We'll do it 5 times. Make sure your inhalations and exhalations are equal. So sitting upright, closing the flap of your ears, and you can now close your eyes because you've seen what I'm doing. Take a nice in-breath, and as you exhale, closing your mouth, exhaling through the nose, make the B sound. Inhale. Inhale. And as you exhale, make the B sound. Inhale. And one last time. And just release your hands. Tune into the sensations in your brain with closed eyes. Does it feel calmer? Does it feel cooler? It probably does. And you can softly open your eyes. And you'll generally feel that the world slowed down when you practice a pranayam like this. So Brahmari is a very powerful pranayam, and you can pretty much do it anytime except in the middle of a meeting where people might wonder what happened to you, why you're making these crazy sounds. But if you let them know what they're doing and ask them to jump in and join in, then it could be a fun thing. So these are little tools that you can use. And another is a guided practice, which is a short practice that you can use anytime during the day. So I'm just going to very briefly guide you through this. And I need you to just sit upright, inhale and tense the whole body. Exhale and relax. Inhale, gather all the tensions, tense the body. Exhale and relax. One more time. Inhale, tense. Exhale and relax. And just relax every body part, keeping your eyes closed. Relax your feet, the calves, the knees, the thighs, the stomach, abdomen. Just let go of all tensions there. The shoulders, arms, fingers, elbows. Now relax your throat and then relax your face. Relax the jaws and the tongue. Place the tongue on the lower palate of the mouth. And then relax your lips. You can bring a gentle half smile to your face. That relaxes all the facial muscles, the cheeks, the eyes, the eyebrow. Just notice, are there places in your body where you carry tension? Just inhale there. And as you exhale, relax the tensions. Visualize space all around you. A lot of space in front, behind, above, below, as if you were surrounded by eons of space. And feel yourself melting into that space, letting go of all your thoughts, worries, letting go of your personality, and just being an observer in that space. Feel as though you were under a weightless waterfall, calming you, soothing you. Focus on being you, full of calmness and peace, nourishing yourself with that boundless peace. Now slowly bring your awareness back to the body. Feel your feet on the floor, your body on the chair. And rub your hands together and softly open your eyes and just massage your temples and cheeks. You can do this 3 times. To enjoy that calmness of the mind. This is a very gentle practice. Ideally, we should do it for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it's a guided practice. But today I'm just giving you a taster of little ways in which you can shift the energy using ancient tools from India. And so, with that calm, focused awareness, one another aspect we wanted to look at is this whole science of coaching. And in HR, probably, you have come across coaches, you've been coached, you have used coaching as an approach. And there is a lot that we can learn from coaching to create that sense of empowerment for ourselves and for people. And so here are some things that stood out for me. When we are anxious, we tend to talk more and listen less. But if we can just cue ourselves to listen more, that is the superpower that you're taking out. Because when you're listening, you're letting go of your need to be ready with the answer to their question. You're just listening to them. You're in the now, and you are fully present for that person. In crisis, when somebody feels heard with respect and empathy, half the tension diffuses and they then come up into a very constructive phase. So listening is a great tool to practice in your meetings. Silence is a companion which is very powerful. Silence can be a big teacher. Now, in these times, what happens? People are uncomfortable with silence. But if you just keep quiet instead of filling up the silence, you'll be amazed how things unfold. So that's an important tool to keep with you. The other one is holding space for people. So, being very non-judgmental. Now, there are personalities and there are types at work which are very hard to get along with. They're difficult people. But what if you suspended your judgment and just held that open space for that person to express what they have to express? And then, once you've taken all that in, come from a place of centering and calm to respond to that. Questions are another powerful tool. You all know this. Instead of giving the answers, reframe, refocus, and ask a question. And that by asking a question, that's what you pay coaches for, to ask powerful questions that create insight. So when you ask a question, instead of telling them what to do, you're engaging their minds and they feel valued and they will add a lot more to that situation. And the other important thing to remember from coaching is to be very, very outcome focused. What is the results that I can get out of the situation? What do I want? And just stay focused on that. Everything else is a distraction. If you just go with some of these, then there is a lot of power you can add to your toolkit. So I would say use all your superpowers. It's all inside you and it comes from above. And we mostly all of us believe in a God and invoke his presence, your favorite deity. Invoke them to give you the superpowers, to remind you to use your superpowers, and may you flourish in whatever you do. Thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Vineeta for questions.
Thanks, Latha. Thank you so much for such, I would use the word calming presentation. And so one dictum is just coming to my mind seeing the presentation, which says less is more. And your presentation, the way you have given your tools, I love the acronyms right from the beginning, which says aviate, navigate, and communicate. And then the acronyms, the repair, receive, broadcast, and then the metaphor which says Velcro and the Teflon. So as you have said about the session that it is going to give practical tools to the HR professionals, I think talking about how do you really look after your emotions, and how do you really how do you be a coach in the space and use silence. So you have really in this short time have given so many of these inputs. We have about 150 people just now. So ladies and gentlemen, you can start. We have got some questions. So there's a feedback. He says very good practical short session, and I'm inviting people to write their questions in the question window. And by the time the questions are coming, Latha, I just want to check with you firstly that having such an illustrious career, and then you moved into yoga, and I understand it that you have been here for more than 15 odd years. What is the transformation that you see in yourself ever since you started practicing it?
That's an interesting question, and it's kind of like opening myself up in public here. But I must say that I've seen a lot of benefits. And if I were to look at some of the top benefits, there are some friends here who know me from over the years. I've been in this business for 25 odd years. And in the beginning, when I started, I was a complete go-getter, full of energy, and just had the goal in mind, like we all start straight out of college. And so everything was about delivering the results. So firebrand HR resource, I would say. And sometimes, you leave dead bodies on the way and you don't think about it. You just get your goal done. And what yoga taught me was to go inside, be more calm, be more relaxed, and take care of myself, be more patient with myself so that I can be patient with others. And that really was the journey that unfolded. And over the years, I've seen myself becoming a lot less anxious, a lot more calm, and having a sense of humor. I think these are some things that you tune into the joyful side. Yeah, and you slow down.
Certainly, certainly. So, okay, so we have got now questions are coming like quick and fast. The first one is really an interesting one. It says, "You taught us to control mind through body. Does mind control body or vice versa?"
Yeah.
This is a question, Vineeta Parekh.
So, Vineeta, I would say this is a very powerful question that you have asked. And the way I see it is the mind and the body are very interrelated. And physical experiences, let's say tensions in the context of today, manifest themselves in emotional beings of ourselves as well as mental. So if you have physical tension, you experience mental and emotional tension. If you have mental or emotional tension, you experience physical tension. So they kind of go together. And so it's not like you're experiencing physical tension, let's say pain, yeah, then the mind is distracted by it and you don't have that sense of ease. So the mind and body go very closely connected, but the breath is one connection that you can use to go within yourself and calm both the mind and body. That would be a brief answer. This is a whole interesting topic and realm in itself, but I hope, Vineeta, I was able to respond a little bit to your question, big question.
So the next question is from Leena Vaidya. She's asking, when you spoke about empathy, you mentioned to ask the right question. So what are these?
Vineeta, I don't hear you very clearly. Can you repeat that for me?
Yeah. So the question is, when you spoke about empathy, you mentioned to ask right questions. What are these right questions?
Yes. So empathy is, if I had to give a very simple definition of empathy, is like, I remember what Jeff Weiner, the CEO of LinkedIn, said. He said, it's walking a mile in somebody else's shoes. Yeah. So it's actually feeling, tuning into what someone is feeling. And so a good question to ask, it could be like, what's come up for you today? Or how was your morning today? Or, how are you feeling? Yeah. So when you start asking these questions, people respond differently and they also open themselves up and give you a view of how they are feeling. And that is when we can express our empathy. So it's about choosing those questions which help us, like if you were to walk in somebody else's shoes for a mile, how does that feel? Yeah, it could pinch or it could be loose, it could flip-flop. So it's like tuning into their being and emotion and being there for them, holding that space.
Next question is from Shalini Srivastav. She's asking, please give us some tips to calm yourself in high pressure situation.
Yes. So yeah, that's again a interesting and much needed one. So calmness is something that you can induce in different ways. Yeah. But the most important thing is to be aware of our state of mind. And that once you're aware, so that you're the first barrier where you're saying, okay, I'm not feeling calm and I need to feel calm. Now, physically in the body, the center for calmness is in the throat. Yeah. And you would have seen this sometimes when you're not able to express yourself as a child, you experience this more. You feel pain there. Yeah. So that's like things getting tied up there. So you need to create space in the throat to experience calmness. Just if you were to look at the mind body connection. So that's the center of calmness. So just feeling a sense of expansion there consciously. You know, our mind is very powerful. When you use it to channel, it really works. So expansion in the throat, feeling space around you, expanding yourself can induce calmness. Closing the eyes and keeping the gaze behind closed eyes at the point between the eyebrows. So this is called the Agya Chakra in yoga traditions. It's called the spiritual eye in Western sciences, Christ center. There are different names. All religions have a lot of significance for this point. Kutastha Chaitanya is another name for that. So there's a light there. So you can close your eyes and gaze upward. Now, biologically, what happens is the heart rhythm slows down when you do that. The ocular muscles, when they're focused here, the heart rhythm. So these are like tricks. The other easy one to practice is inhale 12, hold 12, exhale 12. Do it 3 times. The triangular breathing, as we call it, that will also calm you. Those are some tips.
Fabulous. So the next question is, it's again a broad kind of question. This is Aruna Joshi asking, how to control the thinking and tune to think positively? This is your, that, what your Velcro and Teflon question.
Velcro and Teflon, yes. So I think actually the first thing there is being aware, and the nature of the mind is like a monkey, so it jumps from one branch to the other, and it's constantly jumping. Yeah. And you have to catch yourself in that moment and say, I want to be in the now, I want to be in the present. The mind is a muscle that needs to be trained to be in the present. A short practice of just going inside yourself, like some of the things we did today, can shift that energy. Okay. Creating that window of that worry fast. So constant negative emotions are coming in. What's happening? You're worrying. Yeah. So you're saying, okay, great. I'm not going to get caught in this drama right now. We have that 6 o'clock window to do that. We'll do it then. You just have to remind the mind to keep parking. And it's been found not just spiritually, but also psychologically, biologically, that the mind then works to that rhythm. So you're mastering your mind, you're taking on the power and controlling it in terms of what you think. But in extreme situations, like suppose there is a bereavement in the family, that grief has to be expressed. That you should not hold back. When big things happen, you need to give yourself that time to, a catharsis of those emotions, to cleanse yourself and then pull yourself back together. So you have to take a call as to what needs to be let go of and what needs to be expressed.
Latha, I also have one question, which is that many people want to meditate, as you said, that the whole West is lapping up and all of that, and yet we are in these high pressure situations, especially the corporate world, and in COVID times even more. So but people, they are not able to meditate. They find it sometimes challenging. So what could be some of the obstacles that come, in learning meditation or having this practice, and what tips you might have for the people?
Yeah, so this is a very fascinating question, because a lot of times people don't even think about the obstacles. They just say, I'm not able to meditate, and they let go of it. Yeah. But over the years, when I teach meditation, and these days I teach online as well, I come across communities from different parts of the world. And the patterns are similar across the world. And what people are experiencing as challenges for meditation is I don't have the time. I would say when you don't have the time is the time when you most need to meditate, because if you can do that simple practice, and research says 12-minute practice of meditation can give you everything that you need for your mind. The fruits of meditation are focus, clarity, calmness, having more energy, being able to juggle things, make those executive decisions, because you're focusing on the executive center of the mind. So great benefits there. But it is just that feeling, I don't have time, or people feel I don't have the energy to do it. The mind is very distracted. So a good way to start is just start with 2 minutes. Make sure you don't get bored with it, because if you get bored, then you don't want to do it. Start with a 2-minute practice. Have an assigned time, have an assigned place. It is said it is good to sit facing the east or the north, just to align yourself with the magnetic field of the earth. And just sit upright and always on a light or empty stomach, because when the food is full in the stomach, the energy goes into digesting that. You feel lethargic, you feel sleepy. So just little things, and going into just a simple practice of following your breath. That can be your meditation. Sometimes it can be listening to calming music. And then there are different levels and a whole world out there. But these are some obstacles to, when you feel you don't have energy, that's the time you need to do it. When you feel you don't have the time, that's the time you need to do it. So yeah, great question.
True. It's reminding me, Latha, that sometimes I think somebody asked Gandhiji that, you are so busy, and how do you get time for this meditation? I know, I'm sure many people perhaps must be knowing about this story, and it really touches me. It says that when you are too busy, he says, I do double the time. If I'm doing 1 hour, I will do it 2 hours. So yeah.
Great,
so there's another there's another question which Naveen Rena is asking. Firstly, he's acknowledging your nice compact presentation, which other people also said. He's asking, under the current circumstances, what role do you see for selfless service as a stress buster?
Beautiful question. And I would say that is the answer. Selfless service is a big one. Because what happens when you serve selflessly is you forget your own worries and troubles and ego. And what you set in motion is kindness, compassion, empathy, all of the positive emotions. And you create a whole snowball effect there of how it can multiply. So you're multiplying happiness by having selfless service. And that's a great mindset to have for anyone in these times, because you then forget your problems. And when you're in that uplifted state of serving others, the answers come to you and you feel better, because that whole thing of doing something magnanimous is very, very expansive. So selfless service is a beautiful tip. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I loved your quip where you said that the answer was in the question. And I think also, perhaps each one of us have that answer. We just need to, get in touch with it. Yeah. So the another question here is it's Stuti Verma. She's asking, in these uncertain times, there is a feeling if everything will be on virtual platforms, what will be a future of HR? How can be relevant for changing times? Please suggest.
Yeah. I think we are most relevant now than any other time, because if you look at the nature of the function itself, we are more that glue in the business. Yeah, and the business is very focused on what it is measured by, and the people aspects are now invisible. And when it is invisible is when you need to add a lot more there to make the system work for us. And whether it is engagement, whether it is performance, whether it is getting results, whether it is people being able to focus on demand, all of these are big expectations on HR's shoulder now. And everyone is looking at us. I would say grab the seat on the table now. If you didn't have so much of it before, use all your superpowers and put your best foot forward, because you understand people, and that is the biggest contribution to the table. So I see HR playing, even leadership has become more of an HR role than anything else right now. Whether it's customers, whether it's an employee, it's all about people.
Okay. So there's one more interesting question. I know that we are towards the close on the time here, but it says okay, 1 second. With increasing spread of COVID-19, how HR to handle workforce when they ask not to come to office, but offices are open?
Yeah, this is a tricky question, and it depends where in the country you are. Yeah, and how your office is set up. So when I talk to a lot of my clients, what they say is like a city like Mumbai, the offices are just not set up for large crowds to come. And so therefore you need to see what can be safely operated. But if you're in a city where there is not a lot of cases and its situation's under control, you're in a green zone, then you need to plan that coming back to work effectively, because at the end of the day, in situations like this, life matters more than business. So you have to see when you err on the side of people than on the pressure of the business, because we have to be practical. The business has to run, so people need to be communicated that they have to give their contribution. This is not a holiday away, yet we need to have that trust and balance to, and you have to see what works in your city and your situation, your office layout, and be very, very cautious, err on the side of people.
Sure. So we are coming to the end, and the last question, and it's a very interesting question, Latha. Even I'm looking for the answer. This is Arvind Budkar. Arvind Budkar is asking where the mind exists in the body.
So where the mind exists. So I'll take the answer from our system of chakras, yeah. And so where the mind exists, there are different, like Mon, Buddhi, Ahankar, Chitta. These are all terms that come from the realm of the mind. But where most of these exist is, like, one is ego, which is located at this medulla oblongata, this that little depression at the back of the skull. So that's the seat of the ego, yeah, and that's the negative pole of the Agya chakra. So like when we feel proud or when we feel, oh, I'm great, then the nose is also in the air because there's tension there. So that's the seat of the ego. And then this is the positive pole, the Agya chakra, as it is called, the prefrontal cortex, as it's called in neuroscience, the executive center of the brain. So that's the place where we have all these solutions, answers, decision making, juggling, choosing between one option and the other. All that happens in the prefrontal cortex. And then, of course, this whole limbic system, which has got to do with the emotions. So the mind is largely located inside the head, if you had to physically put it. But then there are also elements of that in the heart, and the whole element of neuroplasticity. That is how the mind can be molded. It shows that there is possible to create more connections in the brain up there. And then there's also in the gut. So the same set of cells exist everywhere. But very simplistically put, a simple thing would be to say it's largely in the head.
Yeah. So great, Latha. It was like a super, condensed power capsule. There are so many things that you have covered. You have, we had some calming experience. You have given some exercises. You have inspired people. More than 100 people are still around. You have inspired them to do it even while sitting in their work chair. And you have, as the title of your session was that in these times, giving practical tools for the HR professionals. So it's been absolutely wonderful listening to you, and we come to the end at this part in this session, and it's been wonderful interacting with you, Latha. Thank you for that. And yes, and with this, I am handing it over to Aman.
थैंक यू सो मच। बहुत ही बढ़िया था, और जो विनीता ने कहा वो एब्सोल्युटली ट्रू, लता। सो हमारी ओर से थैंक यू। मैं रिक्वेस्ट आनंद प्लीज, आर यू अराउंड? Anand is our president of the Pune chapter. Anand आप हैं?
Yes, Aman. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Latha. Namaskaram. Thank you very much for a wonderful session. I really liked the one particular message you gave, that when you don't have time, that's the time you must meditate. So amongst very many things which are happening, and when today's session was announced, originally I was not planning to be here, but I knew that you will be taking some practical and important, practices through the session, and I must find time to be here, and that has absolutely paid off. Really like the energy with which you have shared your experiences and energized our participants. I'm sure if you have your own, let's say, a YouTube channel or things like that, you will get lots of subscribers today, because you taught them the important practices in a very easy manner. The Teflon and the Velcro example is extremely powerful. I think spotting people who tend to be more anxious and speak a lot without allowing others to say a word, I think are some of the good practical tips as a professionals we can get hold of and try and see what we can do. So in nutshell, I think amazing session. We would look forward to you working with us through many more similar initiatives, because as we deal with this post-pandemic or pandemic situation, HR professionals will be expected to deliver a lot, and they need to use some of these proven methods in their organization to help everybody sail through this journey, not only survive, but thrive beyond this pandemic. And people like you and people like Vineeta, who have brought you to us, is adding that real practical value to the community. And you have been in our shoes and done that, and you walk more miles than what Jeff spoke about. So you know it where it hurts, So we look forward to seeking more support from yourself.
Sure.
Aman, that's it from my side, and thanks to you as well, Aman, for spearheading this session and many other sessions which you are doing as we speak. Thank you.
Can we maybe please call upon Sheetal? Sheetal, could you please come here and share with us some details about iGift Life? iGift Life is an NGO working towards spreading awareness on organ donation. इसके बारे में थोड़ी जानकारी ले ली जाए.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Aman, sir. I would like to request all my dear attendees to wait back for a couple of more minutes, as I have a very noble cause to share with you along with the upcoming webinar teasers from us. So please allow me to share one very small video with you all.
Sheetal, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. iGift Life is an NGO started by Professor Tejpal Singh Batra and his daughter Ms. Naina Batra for organ donation awareness. As you can see on the screen, one person can save up to 8 lives. Then just imagine what we all Indians can do. I would like to request you all on behalf of iGift Life to reach out to us and help us take this noble cause to maximum number of people. We want you to invite us to talk in your offices, your webinars, your conferences, or any such events. and spread maximum awareness for IVF life. You can reach out to us on this email ID, or you can WhatsApp us on this number.
Thank you. Sheetal, you want to talk about the upcoming exciting sessions that we've lined up for the community? Do you have the slides with you?
Yes, sir. So we have on 2nd July, we have a very interesting HR analytics session, that is mind versus heart, which talks about does analytics capture the human side of HR, and we are going to have some industry experts as panelists. We are going to have Mr. Manoj Tiwari from IBM, Professor Tejpal Singh Batra, and Dr. Neeraj Mankar with us. The next is on 3rd July, we are going to have we are having a webinar on creating a psychologically healthy workforce, wherein the panelist would be Dr. Sheetal Roykar, a faculty from Department of Psychology from Ferguson College. The next, we are going to have an entertainment show, that is Sham Sukoon, on 5th July, wherein we are going to have a music session along with a stand-up comedy session. And last but not least,
sorry,
sir, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that this session is purely charity based, and we are supporting 3 NGOs, that is Swachh, Pragati Foundation, and I Give Life. And we are earnestly seeking all of us to donate whatever we can, so that we are able to contribute to the good work that these organizations have been doing. So, please continue.
And the next in the pipeline, we have Life Beyond Seizures, an empathetic peek into the life of a person with epilepsy. For this webinar also, we have a very strong panel, as you can see on the screen. So for any of these webinars, you can go to our social media and you can find the registration details, or you can WhatsApp me on this number, or you can write to me on nhrddpune@gmail.com, and I will share the registration details with you. That's it from my side, friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sheetal, for sharing this information, and I hope that all the participants have made a note of it. We will nonetheless also send you the details via email and WhatsApp, and available on all our social media handles. We look forward to you joining us again and again, and learning and also contributing and supporting the work that we are doing at the Pune chapter. Anand, would you like to add something before we close?
We are absolutely thankful to each and every one of you, the presenters, panelists, and the participants. Happy to inform that more than 5,000 participants have attended our sessions in last about 60 odd days, which is a great, great support which we receive. We create the value as we go along with the help of the experts like Latha today, and many more. We are sure there are so many in the pipeline. Stay in touch, and I think the resilience and hope we all have in us as Indians, we should only continue to strengthen that as we pass through this important time. Thank you. Have a great evening and great rest of the week ahead.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks,
man. Thank you all. Bye, everyone.
Take care. Vineeta, so out of you're not on video.
Vineeta.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had logged off.
Sorry?
I thought you had logged off.
Have we stopped recording?
No, it's going on. I think let us log off.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Aman.
Okay, bye-bye.